Run! Don't look back.
If they catch you now, there will be no warning, no trial, no mercy. Branches cut your arms. Your lungs burn. Your legs are barely holding. Behind you, dogs. And men who believe you are not a person. You are inventory. Tonight, you did the unthinkable. You tried to leave. But this didn't start tonight. It started the day you were born. You were born owned. Before you could speak, your future had already been decided. You did not inherit a name that mattered. You inherited a status. Your mother didn't sing lullabies. She whispered instructions. Stay quiet. Do not look at them. Do not stand out. You learned fear before language. You learned obedience before choice. As a child, you watched the older men work until their backs bent permanently. You watched the women move like ghosts, silent, careful, invisible. You understood early. This place does not reward strength. It rewards submission. By the time you were strong enough to carry tools, you were no longer a child. You were an asset. The first time you collapsed in the field, you expected someone to help you. Instead, you heard the whistle, then the crack of leather. Pain wasn't the lesson. The lesson was this: no one is coming. One afternoon, the man beside you stopped working. He didn't scream, he didn't fight. He just stopped. I can't, he said. 2 seconds later, he was on the ground, beaten in front of everyone. Not to punish him, to warn you. You kept working, but inside, something cracked. You saw your future clearly. Not old, not free, just worn down until there was nothing left. Then they sold your mother. No explanation. No farewell. One moment she was beside you, the next she was being pushed toward a wagon. You ran after it until your chest felt like it would explode. You screamed, you begged. They didn't slow down. They didn't look back. That night, you didn't cry. You didn't sleep. You stared at the ceiling and realized something simple. If you stay, everything will be taken from you, piece by piece, until there is nothing left. That was the night fear lost its power, and the idea of escape became real. You didn't run the next day, or the next week. You watched. You memorized patterns. When the guards grew careless, which dog was slower, which path through the trees stayed darker. You noticed the river to the north, strong current, cold water, but possible cover. Weeks passed. Outwardly, you remained obedient. Inside, you were calculating. Then someone else tried to escape. They were caught before sunrise, dragged back by ropes. You watched as punishment turned into spectacle. The message was clear. This is what happens to those who try. That night, doubt crept in. Maybe survival is enough. Maybe staying alive is the real victory. But then you remembered the wagon, and you understood something deeper. Living without freedom isn't living. It's waiting. So you made your choice. No moon, clouds covering the sky. The guards bored. The dogs restless but tired. Your heart pounded so hard it felt visible. One step, nothing. Another, still nothing. You moved between shadows, past sleeping bodies, past the place you had known your entire life. Then you crossed the line. You ran. At first, silence. Then barking. Sharp, immediate. They noticed. You pushed harder. Branches tore your clothes. You slipped on wet leaves. Voices echoed behind you. They were gaining. You changed direction, toward the river. Your legs burned. Your breath came in gasps. You stumbled and hit the ground. For a second, you stayed there. You could stop. You could let them take you back. You would live. But you would never try again. You stood up and ran. The river appeared suddenly, wider than you remembered. The current faster. You didn't think. You jumped. The cold crushed your chest. The current pulled you sideways. You swallowed water. Your arms felt heavy. For a moment, panic exploded inside you. This was a mistake. You were going to die here. Not free, not caught, just gone. You kicked harder. You forced your body forward. Your hand touched mud. You dragged yourself to the bank. Behind you, the dogs reached the water. They barked. They paced. But they didn't jump. Minutes passed. Then silence. They lost the trail. You lay there shaking. Alive, but not safe. Dawn was coming. You needed to move. You went deeper into the forest. Every sound made you freeze. Every shadow felt like pursuit. Freedom wasn't relief. It was tension. You hadn't won. You had only survived the first test. By midday, hunger hit. You had nothing. No food, no plan, no destination. Only distance. You considered going back. Not to surrender, just to end the fear. But you kept walking. Because going back meant surrendering the only thing you had gained. Choice. As the sun began to set again, exhaustion settled in. Your body ached, your future was uncertain. But something was different. There were no orders, no commands, no one deciding your next move. For the first time in your life, your steps belonged to you. Freedom wasn't comfort. It wasn't safety. It was responsibility. It was risk. It was terrifying. But it was yours. And even if tomorrow they find you, even if tomorrow you fall, you will not fall as property. You will fall as someone who chose. And that changes everything. Be honest. If you were born owned, would you have run?